Hello, welcome to the American Business Podcast. I'm Kevin Devecioglu, your host. Today, I'm welcoming you episode 68. And today's number is 7. This is how many attendees that we have today at the Connectional America Business Alliance networking event today. And we had a great opportunity to learn about 7 different businesses, companies, organizations, their products and services. We have a great guest today, and I'll invite our guest to our virtual stage, and I'm gonna get the conversation started. Hello, Grant. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Kevin. Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Thank you very much. Pleasure is all mine. How is your week going so far?
It's great. I'm having a great week. Nice way to scoot into the weekend. So, yeah, it's been really good. How about yourself?
Good. That's good. That's Friday, so it's gotta be good. No complaints from my side.
Right on.
All right, sounds good. Well, why don't we get started if that's okay? As a start, would you please introduce yourself and briefly tell us about your company and what you do?
Yeah, my name's Grant Gunnison. I'm based out of Denver, Colorado. My company's Zero Homes, and we are a home improvement marketplace, technology-enabled marketplace. So we enable homeowners to get quotes for a number of different upgrades, particularly to electrify their homes via their smartphone. So in about 20 minutes, they can take some photos, scan their house, and then we can use that internally to quote them different systems without having to go there. So save people a bunch of time and heartache trying to find contractors and the like, and operate in a few different states around the country. And the team's in Denver.
How did you start your career?
Well, a lot in academia, actually. I got a couple of different degrees, and so I was in Boston for about 8 years, and did a lot of software and electronics work in that. And then I had also grown up in a construction family, so in between getting those degrees, I spent a couple of years running my family's general contracting business, and doing everything from additions to tear downs, kitchens, bathrooms, floors, doors, windows, okay,
Fun stuff.
all the things. And a lot of that was an inspiration for what we're doing today. But I do have kind of a very disjointed, career in that I spent a lot of time building technology, time in the field, swinging hammers, and run a small business. And now the business I'm running today is just to help the folks in the field go a little faster and deliver a world-class experience for homeowners.
When you look at your work on daily basis, what are the exciting parts and challenging parts that you experience every day?
Yeah, I mean, our business is trying to do 3 hard things. We built a novel technology platform to be able to quote remote for all different projects and homes. We particularly focus on HVAC, so heat pumps, water heaters, electrical upgrades, and the like. And so there's a lot of technology challenges in being able to accomplish that. And we've built a great service. Homeowners love that. Now we're a lot, really working on scaling the business. And so it is a lot of, finding the right people, building the right process, all of the, business cadence items to deliver that offering at larger and larger scale consistency. So, those are a lot of the things that I get to deal with these days. And it's a very different problem set than how do we service, our core offering or offer our core offering to homeowners. Very much these days, it's about building the business. And that's its own totally different set of challenges.
Absolutely. Let's talk about homeowners a little bit. What is the state of homeowners and their challenges nowadays for home upgrades?
Well, I think for most folks, when they're going to do a project, the first thing that they do is go typically to Google. They're trying to find a human that can help them. And it really depends on the trade, right? So they might be looking for HVAC or plumbing or electrical or, there's lots of different specialties. And so they're going to go try to solve for 3 things or across 3 different dimensions. someone they could trust to get something done. Can they get it on the time frame that they're looking to get it done, and can they do it at a price that is reasonable for them? And I think, the challenge for homeowners today is that it's really difficult to actually get all of that information. It typically is delivered, by someone driving to their house, poking around their house, doing their dog and pony show, kind of, trying to build some confidence for the homeowner that they're the right person to do the job. And that just ends up taking a lot of time from the homeowner, 2 or 3 visits, 30 minutes to 2 hours a piece, typically, depending on the project. And all of a sudden, the homeowner's pretty exhausted and, and not really sure what to do. So that is very much the start of, the journey on any of these projects for homeowners. And I think that's been kind of the standard operating procedure for the last 100 years, right? And there really hasn't been much innovation there. And so I think in a lot of ways, we have a new opportunity to build a new experience for folks that can reduce the friction for homeowners in understanding what to do for their projects, actually lower costs for them. Every time a contractor comes over to visit with a homeowner, they're spending dollars, right? And so ultimately, the homeowner will pay for that in the price of the project, but they're not, really conditioned to understand that on the outset. And so by removing a lot of that stuff, we can actually reduce the cost and just give people a lighter touch experience. And ultimately, that will be and is great for folks, And so in some ways, we're trying to tackle what has been kind of an age-old, what I would call latent problem. Everyone kind of groans and goes, I got to find a contractor and he's got to come over and I got to take work off. And, there's a lot of complaining.
True,
I
that's
think
true.
through
Yes, it's challenging. Yes.
these projects, right? So that I say is in many ways, a lot of the current state of the market is homeowners struggling through these projects, contractors trying to keep costs down and their service quality up. And it's hard, I think there's a lot of challenges there, just trying to get, homeowners educated and actually deliver services at reasonable cost.
Before I change the subject to AI, so they have these challenges that you mentioned. From your company's point of view, how do you make it easy for homeowners to address these challenges?
Yeah, the core difference for us is we don't go out to the house. My team is all here in Denver, and we have a smartphone-based system to help folks. So in about 20 minutes, they can take some photos and scan their house. We build a 3D model of their home out of that. And then that allows us to both have a really high quality conversation with the homeowner around what, their challenges are, but then also, scope out a solution, be able to price that solution, and then match them with a contractor. And so instead of them having to, go out into the world and find someone that they can trust, we've, taken care of the vetting process for them. We can make it a lot lighter touch. In 30 to 45 minutes of their time, they can get quotes for up to 7 or 8 different projects, and so they can move a lot faster through that. And then of course they don't have to have someone come into their house, especially a lot of women don't want to be home alone with a stranger in their home, so
Yes.
it's a little easier for them to be able to get the information they need without having a lot of friction and just in general being uncomfortable, right? And it's funny. I was also, one of those salesmen at one point as well. It's uncomfortable for the salespeople too to enter someone's, private
True.
space, right?
That's
Right.
true.
And
Yes, you're
so it's
right.
just like this sort of unspoken, uncomfortable thing that, kind of has to go on to get these projects done. And, just a good way for us to sort of nix that whole thing from the process. So, anyways, just to sort of round that up, making it easier, a little less expensive. Then, of course, we can deliver the projects with a number of local partners.
Great. So you utilize technology to make the experience easier, better for the homeowners.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's great. I appreciate it. Thank you for the insight. Sounds
Yeah.
good. Well, let's talk about AI a little bit. Okay, that's a popular subject in our business community, and we get this question all the time. And whenever we talk about this, we get a lot of views. So I like to learn about what do you think about AI and the impact of AI on business and business landscape in general?
Well, sort of interesting. I mean, I think one perspective is I think it's overblown, and that the AI that has been pushed out and been hyped up a lot recently, it's just next word predictors, right? And so it looks, and they've gotten very good, of course. And so a lot of what comes out of ChatGPT and so on, like looks excellent, reads quite well and whatnot. The funny thing is it just can't be trusted, right? The data is just very, very garbage in a lot of cases. And so, I think that can create quite a challenge for folks to use these tools. It can be great for creating a first draft of an essay, maybe customer service bots and things, maybe even phone calls and whatnot. But I think a lot of the reasoning that we do today as humans cannot be done by these tools. And so I think we actually have a long way to go before we actually have real like AI agents that can do complex tasks and things. In a way that's going to be like generally useful across lots of different parts of businesses. I think there are opportunities to build point solutions today to help accelerate folks, but broadly speaking, I'm a little bit more pessimistic on where the technology is today. Maybe hopeful that it does evolve, but I actually think the next piece that people are trying to work on today, the reasoning piece, is actually the hardest piece of the whole thing. And I think for the last couple of years, people have argued, it's like, well, if we just make the models bigger and we just add more compute to the problem, that we'll be able to solve that. And I think even ChatGPT's recent 5 announcement and release, even a week ago, has sort of demonstrated that that's really not a meaningful avenue for us to solve some of these challenges. So I'll just say I'm maybe a little bit more of a pessimist at the moment. We do need to have, I think, a couple more meaningful breakthroughs in order to have, a little bit more of a generalized tool that people can trust more. But anyways, that's my POV.
All right, sounds good. Will AI replace humans and jobs in the future?
Well, I think today people are, being replaced by some of these tools already. Now, is that prudent? Unclear. In a lot of applications, I do think in some areas you're able to accelerate, high quality folks already. Even my team, right? They've been able to do a number of different tasks a lot faster than they would be able to otherwise. So what does that mean? It means that one person can be, dramatically more productive. That might just mean we don't need to add more people to the team. It doesn't mean that we can replace all of those people, right? You still need a high quality operator in there. We can accelerate them, but we can't replace them. And I think that's broadly speaking the state of the market today. We're able to accelerate tasks, but we can't fully replace them. Now, I'm sure a lot of people would push back on that and say, oh, well, I got teams of 50 agents and they're all just acting autonomously and going crazy. I personally don't see that, at least in our business yet, but we'll see. I do think there's certainly opportunity to have fully autonomous agents. I just think we're a ways away from that.
How about regulating AI? What do you think about the regulations?
Well,
should we regulate AI?
It's a good question. Probably, I think is the right answer. I guess the question is across what dimensions, and I think in some respects, of course, there are topics and areas that you would probably want AI to just avoid wholesale. But regulating the usage seems challenging, frankly, especially since some of these models are open source. Like anyone can download, some of this stuff and just use it themselves. So how do you do that? It sounds quite challenging. So that maybe that's just on the tools themselves. Then separately, I think there's a lot of talk around the energy hunger that a lot of the models are consuming and whatnot, And I do think there absolutely needs to be a lot of regulation on the allocation of energy resources to AI.
True.
And I do think that there are going to be significant challenges there for our grid and the use of electricity, the source of electricity. Um, that is going to be quite challenging, and that's already a extremely heavily regulated space. So I don't think that we're going to have to do much there in addition to what's already been done. But there does need to be some clear thoughtfulness put into that, because what we don't want to do is make a trade-off of, well, can someone heat their home, or can then someone run ChatGPT on their phone? Right? Like that shouldn't be in a conversation at some point. But it may, if we're not thoughtful about how we use, and allocate energy to data centers.
Mhm. Yeah, yes. So the regulation of AI is really a subject nowadays everyone is talking about, especially in the business world.
And I mean, what do you think? Are there
Yeah,
clear regulations or areas that
yes. So
are important?
I have another podcast called Two Guys, All Things Tech. I have a co-host there, Anthony. So we discussed it. That was all discussions, right? Not an interview. So he's against regulation. I'm for regulation, and then we had these debate during these podcast episode, and so uh, it looks like we need to find some sort of a balance. Just doing the regulation, just performing the regulation, putting it out there may curb the innovation, and then at the same time you don't want to be too late either. So a couple of weeks ago, for example, we had some of our guests. They are HR experts, so they talk about like deep fake, how AI is utilized for job interviews, for example, things like that, right? So these practices we see it. Also, what if companies just lay off employees because of AI in masses, which started already in some form, but what if it's even more than that? Like all these, like how it's going to be managed. For example, in New York State, they started, if you are laying off employees because of AI, they like you to document it. So this is just the beginning. There is nothing else right now, but obviously, state is getting ready to take the next step, whatever it's going to be, because each layoff is also costing the state and the government losing tax revenue. That's also because there is no taxation right now on AI employees. I mean, I think not yet. I'm sure it's going to come in the future in terms of regulations, but it just makes sense. So I mean, these things like this is really there are different angles of it. That's how it looks like. And last week we had another episode about AI, and we talk about the international laws and impacts on AI. It's completely different field. So there are, when we say regulations, there are different angles of it, different parts of it,
Yeah,
and some part, and also when we look at the legislature, the representatives that we choose, not all of them are equipped to have this conversation either in their defense. So then that's another generational difference, like how it's gonna, they need to also catch up, the legislature also need to catch up as well to address these, because if you don't
yeah.
know the technology, then how are you gonna come up with some laws, proposals to regulate it?
In about a year ago, I think or maybe even 2 years ago, a lot of uh, energy was being put towards, well, what are folks actually using to train these AI models? And wait a minute, are they following copyright laws and all these
Mm,
sorts of things? And I think broadly speaking, that has not been addressed. I think these folks have scraped the internet for all of its data, ingested every possible piece of text that they could get their hands on, um, and haven't really gotten in trouble for it. That is problematic, I think, in
great
some
point.
respects. Your counterpart on your other podcast might go, well, if we were to regulate them, that would really slow down innovation. That's one perspective. The other perspective might be that, well, they just stole a bunch of people's work and that they should be compensated for that. Um, or I'm sure there's many points of view, but the point is that, yeah, there should and will be lots of regulation around this activity. It would be very interesting I think, frankly, shocking to see folks try to put some kind of income tax on AI agents, and like how they might even
It
instrument
has to
that.
come. I'm sure. I'm sure it's gonna come. It's gonna
It
be just like a payroll
sounds
tax. I'm sure.
crazy,
Yeah.
but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah. I mean, this is my full-time job, right? The business software and AI agents right now, we sell it like on daily basis, and it's so affordable. It's so affordable. But then, when it reflects on massive layoffs, then things gonna change. These AI employees gonna be taxed. I'm sure. It has to. They have to be. But for now, we can just enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, what does an AI agent cost relative to a full FTE? I mean, a CSR probably costs $60,000 a year or something like that, and you can probably hire an AI agent for what, $1,000 a year.
$300. Yeah, $1,000. Yeah, $300 a month. Max.
Okay, yeah, so
So
5%.
just like you said. Yeah.
So,
So and it works 24 hours.
sure,
No
yeah,
dental,
sure,
no
yeah,
benefits, no dental, no health, all those things. No, liabilities. Just at a minimum. The
yeah.
risk
No,
is low.
no HR challenges.
Yes, no HR. Yes. And speaking of HR, that's very interesting. You brought it up. So in that conversation that I mentioned about the deepfake being used for the HR interviews, job interviews, I was also I also learned that some companies, they put AI employees in their organizational chart. So you have a department, you have a team member, so there you have Kevin, John, Smith, and you also have the AI employees. You also can give them names, but then they're AI employees. They're in your organization chart right now. So
Yep.
things are changing. It's amazing that we see
Yeah,
this change.
it is crazy. Yeah, I think, I don't know. It is a little scary, right? Interesting world we're all diving into here.
Absolutely,
I don't think
absolutely.
I think anyone really knows what's going on. People are just building, and we'll see what happens.
Yes. That's
You know,
for sure. That's for sure.
totally.
Yeah, a couple months ago, I went to a conference. It was an SAP conference. So SAP, they talk about their latest, greatest, systems. What is, and then the conversation was 80% of the time was AI. So they came up with a new AI employee structure, how we manage it, etc. And when I was listening to them, and then CEO came, they all their, high management team, and then they talk about like how great their AI employee structures, the technology, and they detail it. They explain how they're gonna be used, and I was like listening to them, and I was like, "You're gonna be replaced too," like it's so obvious. Like you're gonna have the CEO employee, AI employee, CEO, and you're gonna have the CFO. When you think about it, like now it's really possible in terms of like where it is going, in terms of the direction. Not ready yet, to your point, because the data is not mature yet, but it's going that direction. The, that's fascinating.
We'll see. I'm quite pessimistic about some of those things. The deep reasoning requirements to operate as an executive in a business are or an order of magnitude, or maybe several orders of magnitude away from where a lot of these tools are, I think, today. But we'll see. I'd be impressed if proven wrong.
Yes, time will show, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I like to shift our conversation towards your role models and mentor and your mentors in your career journey. Have you had any role models and or mentors who help you shape your professional journey?
Oh, totally. Wow. I mean, many mentors. I think I've been very lucky to have a lot of folks that have been willing to help along the way. Really early on, it was a couple of folks helping me run the general contracting business, and that was a little bit of a turnaround story. a lot of challenges there for sure, but that's how you learn, I think. And a lot of us are just trying to make fewer mistakes, right? And so having some folks that are by your side that you can call up and ask questions to avoid or mistakes and or just reason through different things is of course critical. And then, when I was in grad school, of course, I had a technical professor that was, of course, a mentor and very helpful. And most recently, I both have had several mentors starting this business. I also have a board of directors now that are also, in a lot of ways, advisors and mentors as well. And it's actually quite joyful to have those folks in your life to to help you with these things, right? You want folks that are willing to go deep and really try to figure out what the right path forward is on a lot of these things. Um, Something that probably doesn't get said often enough is that we're all just making it up, right? You like no one actually has a playbook, that they're living by day to day, and quote unquote has it figured out. We're all just actively trying to figure out all the time, and so I think having folks by your side that maybe have a little bit more, well, I was going to say gray hair, but I don't have any hair, so it does. Just folks that have 20 years ahead in their career, have seen a few more things. Very, very, very valuable.
If there is one key career lesson that you learned the hard way that you like to share with us, what would it be?
Just one lesson, huh? Maybe one I learned in the last 18 months. I think hiring is the most important thing that you do. And, maybe you're going to make the argument that, heck, you're not going to have to do any hiring anymore because they're all just going to be agents and so on and so forth. You just train them. But, having the right people on the team is so critical. And, really, really stressing that to yourself and the rest of your team, that is actually the most important thing that they do. Is so critical. Finding the right people is great, and having to move on from folks can be hard, but is sometimes really important for the organization to do as well.
What are your biggest challenge and interest outside of work?
I like to be outside. I'm in a lot of ways an office rat, right? Like our business is built really on technology, and so we're all in the office all day. So every chance I get to be outside, whether it's I live in Denver, so a lot of hiking, biking, skiing, etc., is great. But
Great mountains.
Anytime I can get outside is a big priority for me.
And we have a pretty large audience who are just entering the job market, the next generation. What would be your career advice for the next generation? How they can prepare themselves in this changing environment?
Be willing to put some calluses on your hands. I don't know what else to say there. And maybe not to be so curt with the analogy, but I think being willing to work really hard, doing whatever is needed, is, I think, in some ways lost on people these days. And maybe that's just part of my sort of hard knocks upbringing in a lot of ways, but I think that's going to be ever more important as even with AI coming to its full fruition, people are going to need to be willing to do more than sit in front of a computer screen.
And for those who are listening and watching us, if they like to be in touch with you, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm on there a fair amount, and I'll be happy to connect with folks there.
Grant, thank you so much for being with us in your busy schedule. I enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. It's great to be on.
Appreciate it. And I wish you a great weekend.
Hey, yeah, you as well.
Thank you so much. Bye
Thanks,
now.
sir.
Thanks. Well, to our audience and to our listeners, I hope you enjoy our conversation. We had another professional with deep expertise, and we had a chance to talk about AI. We also had a chance to talk about homeowners and their challenges during renovations and upgrades. So that was, in that sense, very educational. And Grant was so kind to share his professional wisdom with us. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And as I always say, in each the American Business Podcast episode, you learn something new. At least one or two things you definitely learn, and that is really important that we keep it educational and informative in the American Business Podcast, the voice of American business. Would you like to be a guest in our podcast? You can send us an email, americanbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. We also welcome companies, organizations to advertise and sponsor the American Business Podcast. For sponsorship and advertising inquiries, you can send us an email, americanbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. We also welcome your feedback, your thoughts. You can send us an email, americanbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. If you visit our website, americanpodcast.tv, you can learn about more about our podcast. Also, you can see our coming streaming schedule. We list the episode numbers as well as our guests and subjects that we will be covering. And they are all published every Monday morning, that you can see the refresh ones on the website. As you know, now the American Business Podcast is award-winning podcast, thanks to YouTube Silver Award. Now we have more than 120,000 YouTube subscribers. Thank you very much for support. If you haven't done so, please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. We truly appreciate your support, and we'll keep bringing you educational, informative business content. Okay, what else is happening? Today we had the Connectional America Business Alliance networking event this morning. So we completed the August networking event. Now we are getting ready for the September networking event. I like to invite you to the September Connectional America online business networking event. We have limited seating. If you scan this QR code, you'll see September, October, and November listed there. You can pick the date that will work for you, and you can register. In these networking events, what you can do is you can introduce yourself, your business, your services and products, and you can also talk about what makes you different in the marketplace. You will be able to meet with other business professionals, and you'll be also able to introduce your company and your services to the American Business Podcast ecosystem. We have right now thousands of followers. We truly appreciate it, and that's a great opportunity to be in touch with them, for you to introduce your company, your products, and your services. And we have the membership program. We started a couple of weeks ago. I like to invite you to our membership program. We have different membership types, whether you are a seasoned professional or an entering the professional job market. There is a membership model there that you can consider, and each membership has different benefits that you may consider. If you scan this QR code, it'll take you to the website, and you can see different membership models and pick the one that you like, and then you can subscribe to it on monthly basis, simply, or just one time. We'll really appreciate your support. All right, we have new sponsors. We have Ms. Excel. If you're interested in learning Excel and other Microsoft software systems, you can consider Ms. Excel. They have a great online courses that they put together, and their style is fun and enjoyable. If you scan this QR code, it'll take you to the Ms. Excel website. You can pick the course that you like, and before you check out, make sure to use the discount code ABP2025 so that you can enjoy the discount as well as the learning process. If you are in the market for ERP software system, you can consider iTech Consulting. They are specialized in SAP and Oracle NetSuite ERP systems implementation, support, as well as training services. They have their own teams in North America as well as globally. If you scan this QR code, it'll take you to their website, and you can learn more about the company, and you can be in touch with them. When you are in touch with them, make sure that you got the information from the American Business Podcast. That's it for today. Thank you very much for being with us. I'm looking forward to having you in the coming The American Business Podcast episode. The American Business Podcast is the voice of American business. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.